Welcome back to Albany County Direct Podcast. I'm your host, County Executive Dan McCoy. Here with me today is Scott Leslie, Director of Albany County Veteran Service Bureau. Scott, welcome back to Albany County Direct. I know we've done this before, but I want to talk about the Albany County Veteran Peer-to-Peer Support Program, which we recently received the 2026 NACO Achievement Award. What does this recognition mean for the Veteran Service Bureau and for the county? And I do want to say this. You're everything I wanted. Like, it took us a while to get this Veterans Department where we wanted it. You're the right person for the job. You left. We got you to come back. And I said, this is my vision. This is what I want to do. And then you're like, great, but here's my vision too. And in two veterans, right? We were both veterans here, combat vets, and we're both like, hey, we want to service this community. We want to do extraordinary things. We want to be there for them. And you've done that. But I really do want to talk about the 2026 NACO Award. We were just down in New Orleans together. And I had to leave because I had to get back to do the dedication into the Neil Breslin Sanctuary Center. So that was important for me to come back. And you and Deputy Leader Wanda Willingham were handling this to get it done. And just let our listeners know why you received this award for this program.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me back. This recognition, this award that we got from NACO is good. Really in my mind, the recognition this shows that our peer-to-peer program is not just effective, but it's immensely popular. This not only builds on just the legitimacy of our program, but it continues to showcase our county's commitment to veterans. You'd be very hard-pressed to find a better peer-to-peer program anywhere in the state. New York's leading with that, but just from the interactions I had with other partners down there, we're head and shoulders above almost everybody else, and it's been going great since we started this program.
Which is awesome. And this is what I love about you. You're direct, quick, to the point. About the program in the peer-to-peer, which is so important. So we talked to other veterans that went through what we've dealt with or different situations. How has this uniquely been helping the veterans community?
This has been unique because it's a peer-to-peer program, it is led and attended by peers, by veterans at the local level. So we're not implementing any types of plans that you might find in an adjoining state. Everything that we do in our peer-to-peer program here these are suggestions and ideas and programs that were built from input from our veterans and from even other behavioral health professionals and other people that are in the veteran space to provide for great activities, whether it's a hot yoga program, whether it's a breakfast, whether it's a ball game. We've conducted hundreds of events since we started this program. We've had well over 10,000 veteran touch points with either veterans or their significant others or their support system. It might be their neighbor that just helps them get off the couch and go attend a movie event. There's been also we've had instances where we've had a couple, they've had dinner with us, they haven't been on a date in 20 years.
I'm glad you're bringing this up because I was just talking to Deborah Tano about some of the programs she does, and she was talking about just bringing seniors together that don't have anyone or family, especially on the longest day of the year. And I said, Scott Leslie does this. Christmas he took time away from his family, and he got veterans together that don't have anyone, and they got to hang out, they got to eat, they got to talk, and and you always invite me, and I felt so bad. I'm like, I go, my wife's gonna kill me if I leave, and my family, and the fact that you always do that on holidays, and I always say to people when I'm out, I'm like, hey, if you got a neighbor, say hello to them, knock on their door, check on them. And unfortunately people get busy in their life and they can't even check on their own family or their mother or their father or their sister or brother, and you think it's that cranky old person that lives down the hallway because they don't talk to anyone because no one bothers with them, right? They don't have anyone. And the fact that you do this for a veterans community, and I love all the programs we do, and when people around the country say, hey, we got to do more for the veterans, sometimes it's just not that you have to do more. They just want to have a cup of coffee with you. The breakfasts that you host all the time, and that come there, and I get heat because they're like, "Why aren't you here?" And I'm like, "I know you're in great hands with Scott and his team. You've really built a good team around you, doing extraordinary stuff, and it's inspiring. Especially the event you just had at the College of St. Rose. I think there's over 300 people that attended that.
Yep. And then we had the follow-on one for America's 250 with the sailors of the USS Marinette.
Yes.
The following week.
Right, which it's like, and it's hard for me because spending 37 years in the military, it's hard because I'm like, all right, I have this other obligation as county executive, and I have so many other good programs and stuff I have to go to. And I'm like, I really want to be here with my veterans, right? I really want to be hanging out with them. And it's like, when people talk about Veterans Day and the parade, I always say, like you, I always spent it with my veterans, people I served with, people that I went overseas with, and now I have these other obligations, which, and it hurts because I'm like, I want to be here, but I can't show favoritism to them because people are going to say I'm favoring because I'm a veteran. Mm-hmm. And you do all that, and I get to watch you do things. And sometimes I get a little, I'm like, God, I want to be with Scott, what they're doing right now. It's awesome. And but I do want to talk about the NACO Achievement Award recognition in the innovative county programs from across the county. What made this program stand out? And you kind of answered it in the beginning, but what made this stand out, for NACO? Because, mind you, the National Association of Counties represents 3,026 counties, governments across the beautiful United States of America. People are always doing extraordinary things, and they selected this.
Yeah, I think what's setting us apart there was one of the reasons that NACO selected us was just the large amount of buy-in that we've had across the county, right? This isn't just one little office that does a few things. The Veteran Service Bureau is very much a priority in not just the executive's office, but other partners that we have. They saw the relationships that we've built with the American Legion, with the VFW. They've seen the progress and the partnerships that we've had with the Veterans Administration Hospital, and how we're just getting as many people through the door as possible, to not just through our office in the claims process, but is also getting connected with the VA. And that's a huge, huge priority of our office, is to get as many veterans connected at the VA as possible, because there's a huge correlation between those that self-inflict and those 61% of those folks haven't had VA care in the last 12 months. So getting into the front door of the VA and getting them connected to those services is a huge priority.
Being up at Division of Military and Indian Affairs, I always get it. People are like, oh, your veterans off. There was issues. And I knew there was issues. And I said, I got to change leadership. And it's not easy, because relationships, military relationships. But I'm like, we need to change direction because we're not getting there. And I want to be where we need to be. We need boots on the ground. And then convincing you to come back, which you're like, I'm not coming back. But we got you back. And watching, and I remember the criticism that we both took. From a certain post, I'll just leave it at that, and the backlash that I got, and I'm like, just wait, give this guy an opportunity. We're going to do extraordinary stuff, and you proved them all wrong, and they all but one came back to me and apologized, and I said, listen, I'm not getting into issues. I'm not getting into why I did what I did. Just give us some time. And, I thought it was going to take a while, but you hit that gate running, and we started doing stuff. And this is stuff I always wanted to do. We do movie night. We went to the Firebirds, to a baseball game. All these great programs that we do get. And I will say I thank Senator Fahey, Assemblymember John McDonald, and now Gabriella. Now she's part of it, but before her was Senator Breslin. For helping us get some money, and that's what it's for. Sometimes, like I said, we need to put dollars into, for people to get the help that they need, but sometimes they just need to come out to an event, forget they're a veteran, be with their peers, because I've had family members come to me with different events, and they're like, hey, I never knew that. You never said this before. I didn't, because you don't feel comfortable. Like, people ask you dumb questions, and you're like, yeah, I was in the war, or I served, yeah. And I just move on. I don't really talk about it that much, except when I'm with other veterans. Mm-hmm. And then you start telling the stories, and someone trumps you, and they start calling you out. And because it's hard to explain to people, and I always like to remind people of this, that there's roughly 348 million people in this country, and less than 1% puts that uniform on. Think about that. There's over 2,000 active troops, reserve, National Guard. You take that out, it's like 1 million members, women and men, that are serving our country, and the rest is all made up of the National Guard. We're doing more missions than we have ever done in the history of the National Guard. We're more active than ever before. There's extraordinary things going on that people just don't see, and regardless, they don't do it for the paycheck. They don't do it for the medals or the pat on the back. They do it because they serve. You write your name on that line and raise your right hand, it's over with. You're agreeing to whatever MOS you are, whatever your job is, to serve this country and to die for this country. So, to have these type of programs and you've taken it a lot farther with a lot of different things. I'm like, I love it. I mean, the red, white, and blue event down at the MVP arena, the events we've had up at Lawson's Lake, every time I turn, I'm like, I can't keep up with this guy. And that's what I always wanted. And that's what I love. I'm just like, and I love giving you a hard time. I'm like, Scott, you went through the budget, and you start freaking out. I'm like, I go, come on, man, you're a recruiter at the end. You know the procedures when it comes to budgetary. You know the expenses. You know how all the red tape you have in the military. Yeah. And you're like, oh yeah. I go watch. He's gonna sit there and go, oh, I didn't know, right? But it's good. When you're in New Orleans, and I got some feedback from some other county executives, and they were questioning this program. They were like, did you get any feedback on this? Anyone talk to you about it, or did you hear anything? So
I didn't get a ton of feedback from some of my peers on the PFC Dwyer, the peer-to-peer program. What I was able to get was interact with some other peers in other different work groups and classes. What I pulled away was, one, it's great to network, and I brought some new ideas home. But it is so abundantly clear that our focus and the efforts that we're putting towards veterans in Albany County is immensely greater than any other county that I can think of right now.
And you know what? Again, this is where I want to be at, right? And the fact that, and there's more to do. Like, and when people argue over VA benefits or access for veterans, it sounds good from a lot of politicians, but they don't follow through. They cut the dollars. And this is one program that I say that it's like, here you go. Here's this money. Spend it whatever way you want, but it has to be with veterans. And the fact that people are like, well, why are we spending to bring them to a movie? They serve this country, regardless of whatever their job classification was, whatever they did. They, and it's less than 1%. In any time, every war we've been into since the beginning of time, it's always been 1%, except for World War II. I think it got up to like 18%. Someone will call me out on that. I know the numbers are roughly in there. We had more people in that war, obviously, World War II, but every other war has been the same way. And it's the right thing to do. I mean, they serve. They come back. And a lot of them, like I always say this, so I watch Vietnam vets that didn't get treated right, still didn't for 20, 30 years after, and the extraordinary things they do. And I say, they have the right to come home and live an ordinary life and just move on and not talk about it, right? And you see the veterans that come back, or, they serve their country and they come back and they're involved in Little League or whatever it may be, a passion they have. Or Lafayette, when the Vietnam vets were digging that hole, and I bring this story up because there was a guy that just got done with radiation, this Vietnam vet, and he's at home digging it. And I'm like, what are you doing? I go, are you out of your mind? And he's like, someone has to get it done. We can't rely on your goddamn politicians, And I'm like, so I go to get in the hole. I'm in a suit. I go, I'm going to help you do this. He goes, like I said, you guys are useless. Get out, right? And he threw me out of the hole, right? And I'm like, all right, but again, that's what I love about the veteran community, because when people want to point fingers and blame people or say, oh, you can't get it done, or we want to think about it forever, how we're going to figure out, they just go and do it. They leave the crowd, and the next thing you know, they're building the thing you're still debating whether or not to build, right? That's what inspires me with the veterans community and Policino, the Nardellos, Tom, all these guys, we lost a legend who put all the flags together in Colony. Please remember me. Everyone that's there, and it's just great to see this community out there. And with this, national recognition, what's next for the Albany County Visitors Bureau? I'm almost afraid to throw this question out there, right?
Big vacation. No.
You should. You should.
The next... the number one priority is always just maintaining and improving, our staff and our processes. But we are looking at a massive female veterans event. Yeah. It's not just going to be a fair. This is going to be a convention, and not sold on the name yet. But this is going to be almost a regional conference for female veterans. It is going to be a one-stop shop for everything. They're going to come in. There's going to be speakers. There's going to be services. There's going to be food. This is going to be
we did a mini one about a year ago, right?
Yeah, we've done some small ones, and that gave me the inspiration to do our own. We're not going to deal with those folks that we did with in the past. We're going to create our own program. Yep. It's going to be way better. And
that's what I like about military men and women, right? You're like, okay, and this way, I joke around with the Marine Corps, and I always joke with Mike Lally, and we're always kidding around, that we always do that, and I had my deputy go, why do you always go to Lolly? Because I go, if I told him to take the door off the wall, he's going to take the door off the wall. He's not going to ask questions. He's just going to get it done. As we debate and talk about it, he's just going to go out and get it, right? And that's like you, like, and that's what I love, because I'm just like, hey, this is great, man. He's doing it. He sees it. You try a program, if it doesn't work, well, can you bellyache and complain or bitch about it? Or can you turn around and say, hey, we're going to recreate it? And that's what I love, right? Other people are like, well, let's try to, like, no, you're like, let's recreate it. Now, I always say work smart, not hard. Like, you know, if there's a program out there that works, build upon it. If it doesn't work, take some pieces of it and build the puzzle over here. That's why we say there's always a variable to the math equation, right? And the same with this stuff, right? One stop sometimes doesn't work, but trying to bring it all together is the most important thing. And I joke, because I talk to people up at Latham. I go, what's up with Scott? And they're like, what do you mean? I go, well, you know, I said, I remember he was here. He walked around, wore that uniform of pride, and looked like he was ready to fight 100 people. I go to talk to him, and he runs, and they go, because you keep messing with the poor guy. We know, they go, leave him alone. And I go, I see him, and I'm like, hey, Scott, and he just runs, and he's like, I gotta go. And he goes, you make the poor guy nervous. And I go, I do. And I'm like, I'm just, kidding around. And I honestly let my seriousness side down and open up to the military side when I'm with you, because it's like, all right, I had a bad day, so I started kidding around, and you just like bolt. You're like, you don't need me? It's all set? Good, I'm out of here. And it's kind of like New Orleans. I ran into you, and I'm like, I was talking to like 2 seconds, and you go, gotta go, I got things to do, and he took off. I'm like, I said, there he goes again. But if someone's listening today, wants to learn more about this, or connect with Veteran Service Bureau, which is the best way to get started. But I do want to say, we moved you to the College St. Rose. It was smart to put you here, boots on the ground, more accessibility, easier for people to come to. Beautiful facility that we're now using, the gym and the pool, and then we got the wellness center open up. We got a lot of things going on. What would you say to that veteran?
I'd say start off, give us a call. And just hit us up at 518-447-7710. We'll get one of our guys, one of our gals on the line. We'll get something scheduled. We don't, we might have a number of appointments going on at that point. I'd say just call. Make sure that way we can have you come in, and we won't be distracted with other appointments.
So one of the things before we end this, and I'm going to say it, like, and I'm not proud of this. A couple years ago, our rate of success of helping a veteran get connected with service connections or their disability rating or getting them service was really bad, and it was shameful. And it's a loaded question, because I know the answer. And what would you say today to any veteran listening to this that wanted to get some help?
I'd say if you called our office, you scheduled an appointment with one of our service officers, you can have a very, very good chance at not just having a memorable experience, but a professional experience. We have helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of veterans since we got this office turned over. And the feedback that we've been getting is through the roof.
And again, it was a loaded question, because most of the time I get the answer from other veterans in the community, because they're not afraid to come after me, or if I'm drilling, or if I'm away someplace. And it was like night and day. And it went from, I would never use your office, blah, 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 blah. You got, they said some awful stuff. And now it's like, oh my God, even the state, Veterans Department has recognized us, even the other vets around saying, hey, your team there is crushing it. And and if they can't figure it out, they're going away to figure it out somewhere else. And one day I said, that's what I wanted. It took a long time to get to where we're at, and to the point where I thank Chairwoman Joanne Cunningham, Deputy Chair Wanda Willingham, and Majority Leader Dennis Feeney, and all the legislators, right? They got it, and they let us. It was only like 2 people in that office, a secretary and 2 service people. Now we've built it up. They're on board. They're like, yep, let's add positions. This is great, because they're all hearing it. And then sometimes it's easier when they hear it from people in their community saying, hey, this is really working. They were great. They got me someplace I didn't think it was going to happen. And that's the story, right? And that's the story. Or if it's just like, I had to say to them one time, because we're like, hey, every county gets these funds to help do different things. And I'm like, all right, these people aren't from Albany County vets, right? Some of them are outside, and they got the programs, but they use it differently. You can use whatever you want. And then I remember you going to me, county executive, do you want to say no to a veteran? And I'm like, yeah, you're right, Scott. I hate you right now, you know? And I'm like, you're 100% correct. But I know you do a good job outreach, and I know that people love it. And, you know, I run into people like, hey, when are you doing this again? They go, I got to bring my wife or my grandkids, or I just got to hang out with veterans, watch whatever you had them at, and they light up. And, you know, and I say this, you know, we need to do a better job of showcasing people, but the coffee hour, the holiday dinners or wait time, time you're taking away. And most of the time just volunteering, not looking to get paid for it. And I'm like, well, you did it as a county function. And you're like, no, I'm doing this because it's a holiday and they need to have someone with them, which I, respect tremendously. Before we wrap it up, I do want to say congratulations again on this well-deserved program. Everything that everyone's doing in this department as we continue to grow. And I can assure you that when it comes to funding, we can't sit there and argue that, you cut away. And it's hard when we get unfunded mandates, and I'm looking at $16 to $30 million unfunded mandates coming down from the state and SNAP because they didn't want to do their job, and they passed it down to us, which I called out during my when I had to do the state of the county. I'm like, I called them all out in front row. I'm like, yeah, don't pass it down. I don't have that luxury. I can pass it down to the towns and villages by changing the sales tax revenue, the extra 5% we give them, and then they're all going to be mad at me, right? But when it comes to programs like this needs to be funded. This needs to continue on. Is there anything you'd like to say before we end this?
No, it's just the only reason that we're successful is we've got a great team and we've got great support, whether it comes from you, whether it comes from Joanne and Wanda. It comes from everybody. Everybody that sits in your office and everybody that's mentored my office and my deputy. Like, we've had nothing but success.
Oh, my God. Government rowing in the right direction all on one issue. And it is on this one. And I wish it was like seamless like with this all the time. And the back and forth didn't have to happen. But the success outweighs and the people in the community outweighs any politics, which is awesome in this thing. So I do want to say thank you for Scott, for your service to this country, but to Albany County veterans, and for joining us on Albany County Direct to share more about this award-winning program. And thank you to everyone for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to check out Albany County Direct on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now on YouTube Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And please go to our website, go to the Veterans website. I believe you got your own Facebook up and going, which we thought was important, and a variety of other things. So please go there, sign up. And if anyone's listening to this, hey, you just want to call and see what it's all about or see what you're entitled to, there's a lot of programs, which I surprise veterans. I go, there's a thing called armedforcesvacationclub.com you can go to, and you can get condos and houses and hotels all over the world very cheap. And they're like, what? And there's a thing, ID Me, that you can go to, and you get Broadway shows, NBA tickets. You can get all this stuff, concerts, vet tickets, yeah, for free, right? So it's like there's, in their services now you can use, like Shades of Green at Disney. Been there a ton of times with my family. It's right in Disney World. It's right on their properties from the Polynesian. They got their own transportation for military, discount tickets for military. Again, there's a lot of things out there veterans don't even know they're entitled to. They're like, well, I served for only 3 years or 4 years. I go, you got an honorable discharge, correct? Yep. I go, you're entitled to this stuff. And again, there's a lot of, we have return a favor card, I believe, right?
Yes.
And we have a lot of, you sign up for that. We give you a photo ID, and we give you a list of all the businesses that participate. And it could be from a 2% break up to a 25 to 10, whatever they want to do. But you'd be surprised how many companies do it. And you go in there and say, hey, I know you're part of this program. Here's my card. And they boom, automatically are not Kohl's. I was thinking that place up at Colony Center. They get 15% off. Bosco's every day for veterans, 15% off. 50 on top of all their sales, 15% off. Any day you walk in there, you can sign up. You can go to their courtesy desk, or you can go through us, or you can go sign up online, and automatically get the thing 15% off, and which is awesome. So there's a lot of things that you should educate yourself on. Reach out to them. So again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on Albany County Direct.